Shut up and sit down.
Good evening and welcome to Season 22, Round 9 of the RIL. Tonight we are at WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna, Seca with the V8 Supercar Ford Falcon circa 2012. It's a pretty enjoyable afternoon, 82 degrees ambient temp. Last check on the track temp, 86 degrees, so favorable conditions for tonight's event, the final round of Season 22. So I'll be your host, Alex Albert, and with me tonight is David Haynes. David, are you ready for the final round?
Yeah, gosh, it's going to be exciting. We've got a relatively good field out here for this race, and it looks pretty close at the top of qualifying as well. So, yeah, nice, an interesting car, and always a lovely track to come to here at Laguna Seca. It's a historic track, and everyone loves it.
Right, and speaking of the field, yes, Sven Dimmel, our champion emeritus, is back this week, starting on his typical pole. But the newcomer, Giovanni Romano, is here. Giovanni's going to start outside. Alexander Buehler will be starting third tonight, and followed by Evan Merrill, a past champion in the field. Nate Franklin will be on that third row with Jordan Babcock. Good run by Jordan. Austin Burdick and John Patrick will be on the fourth row, and then Shane Cameron and Brian Beeman on the fifth row. Alexander Cofford, Andrew Fawcett be on the sixth row, Philip Linden and Aaron Thacker on the seventh row. Kyle Smith and Justin Hall will be the eighth row with Claudio Herreros and Jason Schmaus. Ryan Verhulst, Antonio Alvarez, Christopher Flamian, Justin Lamans, Michael Morley, and Mark Antonucci were not able to set a time in qualifying. So we have 23 cars tonight. Only the top 20 will be getting points. It looks like Michael Morley's went ahead and packed up the hauler and headed home to Canada. So maybe two more guys going home without any points tonight.
Well, looking at those guys who didn't set a qualifying time, it might not be for lack of trying. This is a very difficult race car to master. It's got no traction control, no ABS. They've got a lot of power from that V8 engine under the bonnet, and they do not have a rear differential. They are a difficult car to brake, long braking distances, and you have to be very, very careful and very clever getting on the throttle. It's so easy to make mistakes.
Yeah, I think that the rear end configuration of these vehicles is what makes them so challenging. I know for myself, I find them to be super challenging. I prefer a tunable differential, but we don't have that in this case. And the cars are already starting to roll off. See a little bit of tire smoke back through the field as they start to take off. Good to hear the engines again. Means it's Sunday night, ready for a race.
I'm not seeing Alexander Buehler on the grid. He might be going to start from the pit lane this race.
Oh no! Do we have any idea why?
No clue at this stage. Not heard of any mechanical failures or him leaving the track. Just didn't see him take to the grid after he set that third place qualifying time.
All right. Well, we'll just have to follow up on that later in the evening. Hopefully Buehler is able to get a good pit start here. Maybe it's to save a little fuel and no stop this race. We think it's going to be close on gas for some of the lead-footed drivers, so maybe this is a strategic move. One last time around the 2.24 mile road course.
That's a possibility, because what we have is no fuel restriction in play. So all these guys can start the race with a full tank of fuel, but it's a 50-minute race, and these are some thirsty cars. So we expect everyone to take a pit stop, but we might have to keep an eye out for one or two people really trying to stretch the fuel out. But the other side of that coin is that these cars go through tires really quickly as well. The optimal strategy might be to take a splash of fuel and change tires at around the halfway mark. So someone going long on their fuel will also have old tires to contend with.
Yeah, this is... I think it's going to be a tale of two races. I think we'll see some people that split the race in half. I think we're going to see some other ones that try to hang on. Maybe some of those guys decide late in the game, you know, 15, 20 minutes left, that they need to pit. So I think it's... I think I would try to go the whole way if I'm Sven Dimmel, but we'll see. Sven's usually good on the gas. Let's see if he's good on the throttle here as... Here they go. The green is out. Sven with a great jump over Giovanni.
Yep, Sven's gotten properly clear, timed that to perfection, but back there they're going too wide as who's gone down the inside of Evan and Merrill? I think...
That's Franklin.
Yep, they go side by side, but it looks like Evan might have held it around the outside of the first hairpin there.
Looks like Burdick's been able to get past Babcock with, now we have Patrick looking on.
Yep, and Alexander Coffard is now sizing up the back of Shane Cameron, who takes a bit of gravel. So Coffard will be looking to get a better run out of that corner. Not quite. They stay single file back there.
Yeah, those guys are mates. They typically park their haulers beside each other on test events. So I know that there'll be no ill will. They'll want to make it easy on each other. Man, Sven Dimmel really starting to stretch his legs here. First time up the hill.
Yeah, Giovanni Romano really made Sven Dimmel work in qualifying, as now Coffard goes to the inside of Cameron up the hill, though, and I think he's gotten through on the brakes into the corkscrew. No, he hasn't. He's gone sideways. He's locked the rears, and he's almost parked across the track.
I think that is the 11 of Cameron also got turned around. Oh, here we go. Ooh. And it looks like the rest of the field gets through. Bueller's rolling now. He's past one car, now two.
Yep, so Alexander Bueller has made that pit lane start, which is less costly for a rolling start than it is for a standing start, just with when you get let out of the pits. But, you know, with the amount of chaos we're expecting in these difficult cars, he could make up a lot of positions if he keeps his Ford FG Falcon clean.
So big mistake there by Coffard on in the first going here of the race, lap 2. Making that mistake, it cost him and his buddy Cameron both. As we see Dimmel, though, really starting to walk away here. Evan Merrill keeping a close eye on Giovanni, not wanting to let him get away. Merrill, previous champion in the series.
Yep, and a fan of this car as well, I think, is Evan Merrill. Giovanni Romano looked really good in practice, looked good in qualifying, but right now in the race, he just looks like he is that one step back from Sven Dimmel, who is walking it away at the moment.
Yeah, Evan Merrill is always one that loves a challenge, so I'm sure that this is why he's here tonight. We don't see Evan every week, but being such a challenging combo, I'm sure that's what brought him out of the garage and out from under his Miata long enough to saddle up here with the boys.
Yeah, and maybe he has been lured by that offer of the safety rating challenge t-shirt that will be going to anyone who completes this race with 0 incident points. So I think Shane Cameron and Alex Coffard are already out of the running for that very collectible and highly prized t-shirt. Yeah,
just looking at the notes from our spotter here, looks like Aaron Thacker's leading the incident points so far with 4 of them, and Kyle Smith and Verhulst close in second with 3 each.
Yeah, Antonio Alvarez is making a huge run up the field at the moment, though. He's already up 10 spots from where he started. And I think he's looking at the back of Philip Linden. Yep, and he's got that done too, Alex.
Yeah, that's a nice look there by the Castro car, moving right up through the field tonight.
So Alvarez might be one to watch coming up through the field for a little bit as well. We'll see when he gets up to the next car on track of Andrew Fawcett.
Yeah, he's going to have some clean air here for a moment, so we'll see how quick he can close it down.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going very quick in that number 20 car. Is one of our favorite South Americans.
So mentioning Fawcett there, he's kind of fallen off the back. Looks like the front group, maybe about a second between each of them. Then it's about 4 seconds back, and here we go. Antonio is right there with Fawcett.
Yep, under brakes for the corkscrew. Andrew Fawcett maybe cleverly being rather cautious, but Antonio gained car lengths in that one braking zone. Fawcett gets a bit squirrely coming down towards the final corner, and now they are practically together. And I'm sure Antonio is rubbing his hands, licking his lips, and thinking about braking deep into that first hairpin.
I have to say, David, I love the cars of your country. The backfires and the sounds of these cars are just
and he does
not
indeed send
duplicated anywhere. Oh, he does. Nice move by the Mexican.
He's clearly got a very good feel on the brake pedal of this car because he, as I said, he closed up in the corkscrew and then coming down into the Andretti hairpin. Oh, as he pushes wide and Fawcett will get back through. A mistake just as I was bigging him up.
Yeah, it's the huge-ass driver able to get back by.
And that will cost Antonio Alvarez a run at that T-shirt that I mentioned earlier.
Oh,
but
no.
I think he's more thinking about the positions.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's first priority tonight is the points, except for maybe those, like you mentioned, Evan Merrill, just showing up for a one-off to get a special T-shirt. Evan Merrill is the owner of one of these.
Justin Hall, though. Justin Hall's gone wide, and that has let Shane Cameron and Brian Beeman through. They were very close, those three, just a little bit further back, battling it out for 11th, 12th, and 13th, just coming through the corkscrew now.
Yeah, it looks like maybe a little bit of front valence damage there on Hall's car. I don't know, maybe he's just trying to take it easy and finish. Didn't need all that pressure up the backside.
Yeah, even after losing those positions, Hall is still up 3 from where he started, not like Shane Cameron, who's lost some spots from his qualifying position after that spin that we saw on the first lap.
So we have a little four-way battle here. Bueller's leading it. Just behind him is going to be Thacker, Smith, and Lehman's.
Yeah, I imagine Bueller's gotten through there, but Thacker, Smith and Lehman's, as you say, that's going to be an exciting little battle with those guys. Got Thacker in that yellow and black car, then Kyle Smith in his red and white, and a lovely traditional Golf livery. Doesn't quite fit the Ford Falcon, but it's a beautiful livery on any car regardless for Justin Lehman's there.
All right, so we have a bunch of red boxes here towards the backside of the grid. The front of the grid's getting a bit stretched out, but still some great battles back here in the field with Shane Cameron and Brian Beeman. Beeman's looking to stay close.
Yeah, I think these two guys are pretty evenly matched. They're not quite getting away from Justin Hall either, but he's still there. And they're catching
and
Philip
Cofford.
Linden.
Oh, and Bueller and Cofford both are spun up here in the corkscrew.
Definitely, I think we'll have to get a replay of that one, see what's gone on. I think it was Bueller all by himself, and then that's probably just spooked. Who else was it?
Cofford.
Yeah, in fact, because, you know, if you're on the brakes with this car and you're on the brakes for a long time and you see something change in front of you, it might just spook you into making a mistake as well.
I have a hard enough time getting around here by myself, much less with cars spinning ahead of me. Oh, and we see another car spinning down in turn 1. I believe that was Kyle Smith in the Budweiser livery. He was being followed closely by Herreras. And
apparently we're hearing another incident for Bueller as well, as he's looking to reverse into the pit lane.
Hearing from his team, he's stuck in gear. A la Days of Thunder, he's stuck in reverse and just needs to get it down here to the box to maybe get it looked at. Oh, and the bump off the wall seems to have knocked it into gear, so nice handiwork there by Mr. Bueller.
Yep, he does have some fast repairs available to him if he needs to get some work done. But I reckon right now, if he's still in this race, it's a time to take a splash of fuel, put some new tires on, and then he can definitely see where he ends up when everyone else has to pit later. But he's just rolled through the pit lane, taken no service from what I've seen.
So let's go back up to the front, take a look at our champion emeritus, Sven Dimmel in the 23.
Sven is mathematically out of this championship, but he's shown up for this round just to let everyone know maybe I could have won it, because he is building a gap. It's out to 3 seconds now, but on the last lap, he was closed just a couple of tenths by Giovanni Romano, who seems to have found some pace.
Yeah, so Romano able to stay with Dimmel to a certain extent. Dimmel's opened up a bit of a gap, but Romano is still there in the second position ahead of Merrill.
Yeah, Merrill was sticking with Romano, and now they have just, you know, separated a little bit, and I think that's because Giovanni Romano has put the pedal down. So we'll look further back through the field, though, because there's some dents on that car of Evan Merrill. Behind him, then Nate Franklin is looking all right, running okay. Not too far behind is Austin Burdick, and not too far behind that, Jordan Babcock is having a good race in that Steelers car. He kind of wishes that Ford Falcon was a Taurus, though, but unfortunately, we just didn't get them down south in Australia. And John Patrick, you know, I think he's having a good run as well in 7th, but Antonio Alvarez in 8th, up 12 spots from where he started. And when I look at the timings, he has taken another chunk out of John Patrick, and he'll be closing him up soon.
Yeah, it looks like Alvarez is about a second a lap faster, so probably going to be up 13 positions in just about 3 more laps.
Yeah, but you'll have to excuse my pronunciation because we don't get that many Spanish names where I am.
Antonio has been a great competitor in the league. He's been around for quite a few seasons now, and his performance gets better every week, it seems like. I'll tell you
and
what.
Some news from pit lane, though, Alex, is that our friend Alexander Bueller, they've seen that car going into the hauler and the door is closed. He is gone and out of this race, and he's leaving the circuit.
Sad to see, because had some championship hopes coming into the race. 3rd place in points, just behind Nate Franklin and Alex Cofford. So guess those hopes are over, and maybe that's why they made an early exit. But I was going to mention a newcomer to the league, Austin Burdick. Austin Burdick's running 5th against some strong competition.
Yeah,
really
exactly. It's a name we didn't hear in previous series, but every time we've said his name this season, it's because he's been having a reasonable enough run of it, getting up there in some top 5s as he is right now. That's nothing to be ashamed of at all. That's a good run for him.
Yeah, the tough competition here in the RIL. Another great run, maybe not one that you would have bet on before the start. Jordan Babcock up there in the 6th position. Jordan is a hell of an oval racer and had some great runs on the road courses this year. So not sure what's different over there in the 30 program, but maybe when the Steelers don't play well, Babcock runs well.
Yeah, I think this is a kind of car that would suit what we know of his driving style, though. He likes a big, powerful engine, and when you got to manage the throttle a little bit, but he's not so good on maybe the higher downforce cars. So if he can keep his nose clean, he's going to have a reasonable run of it in this kind of machinery.
All right, and let's take a look here at Burdick. He's really starting to put the pressure on the back of Franklin.
Yeah, the field spread out a little bit, and now we're getting some more battles lighting up our timing screen. So, as you said, Austin Burdick has now closed within a second of Nate Franklin. There's also a good battle going on further back for Andrew Fawcett and Shane Cameron. But Nate Franklin and Burdick, this is where the battle is at right now, I think.
Yeah, this is a battle that could have championship implications. Nate Franklin, our current points leader, trying to hold on to that 4th position as we ride on board here with Burdick. Burdick very smooth through turn 4 there as they head down to turn 5, the left-hander up the hill. Yep,
Franklin's locked it up a little bit, got quite wide of the apex. I think Burdick will get a better run.
Will he have a go?
Before we go up the hill. Not here, but he'll hopefully get a good run up through there. Oh, he's not going to be close enough for the corkscrew, but still, the pressure you can see is on Nate Franklin right now.
All right, so we're 15 minutes into this race. We really expect for the guys that are going to pit that they'll want to make it to about 20, 25 minutes into the race at minimum.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the fuel window is open right now. I imagine it would be, but I haven't had a good look at anyone's numbers. So definitely if the fuel window was open, you could maybe take it now, take a new set of tires, try and get an undercut. But other than that, I think the default strategy would just be to run until the tank is empty, then take a splash then. Now, these cars in the pit stop can change all 4 tires while they are fueling, and they can change those tires relatively quickly. So I imagine anyone pitting before 10 minutes left will probably be taking a set of tires, because this locked rear differential, big powerful V8 engine can really put some heat into the tires and really, ruin a set, really take all the grip out of them in 30 minutes.
I'm not sure if we covered it there while we were watching Burdick working Franklin, but Antonio got around JP back there for 7th and 8th. So that moves Antonio up 13 positions from the start. His next victim will be that of Mr. Babcock about 5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, on that lap, he only took about 4/10 out of Babcock. We'll see what he can do on this lap. But, yeah, Jordan Babcock's team will definitely be looking at that going, well, this is the next guy who's going to come up behind you. Just run your race until then.
So Burdick here is not able to hold the pressure on Franklin like he was a couple laps ago. Gap's starting to open up. It sounds like a little bit of tire squeal for Franklin. Might have got in there just a bit too deep in the last corner.
Yeah, well, I don't think any of these guys are quite getting the maximum out of these cars with just how tricky they are to drive. So that gives us a little bit of ebb and flow as some of them have good laps and scruffy laps. The gaps can sort of ebb and flow, but Jordan Babcock is actually pretty close on the back of these guys as well.
Yeah, it's starting to get spicy out there. Up at the front, we've seen Sven Dimmel pick up the pace after Giovanni closed it down under 2 seconds. Then Sven Dimmel responded by going about a half a second a lap faster than Giovanni on the last lap. So
yeah,
great.
Sven Demmel's a clever operator, so I imagine he knows what that gap is, and he doesn't need to work it out too far. He doesn't need to make that a 20-second gap. He just needs to keep that enough that when he has to take his pit stop, he's not, oh, there's a spin there back there for Burdick. Burdick has locked up the rears massively into the corkscrew, and he's lost a lot of gap to Nate Franklin, and now Jordan Babcock is right behind him, but Burdick carries on with no damage. My point there, though, was that Sven Dimmel knows he doesn't need to work that gap out too far. He just needs to manage his fuel, manage his tires, and there's been no advantage to having too much of a gap.
So I see a pretty close battle back here between Fawcett and Cameron. Little midfield scrap for the 10th position, 9th and 10th.
Yeah, Cameron's been putting that pressure on for a couple of laps now, and there's only a car's length or so in it. If Cameron can get the power down well somewhere, he'd definitely be able to try and take a look to the inside on Andrew Fawcett into the hairpin, but it's not going to happen this lap, I don't think.
So we're going to be keeping the cameraman working here. Let's jump back. We're going to be going back and forth here with a couple battles, Burdick and Babcock. Babcock's almost to the back door.
But also Justin Hall and Aaron Thacker for 12th and 13th.
Oh, and Hall runs wide.
Yeah, so Hall had that position. So there's just, the field's spread out, but we've still got a few little battles, up and down the field. 5th and 6th, 9th and 10th, 12th and 13th. And this most recent lap, Giovanni Romano has taken just a little bit more time out of Sven Dimmel, and that gap is hovering around 1.5 to 2 seconds.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and run through the field here. We have Sven Dimmel, your leader, followed just a second and a half back by Giovanni Romano. Even farther back, about 8 seconds off the lead, is Evan Merrill. This is the final step of the podium. Then way back another 9 seconds, we go to Nate Franklin. Nate is your championship leader, just looking to have a safe race, wants to get out of here with his points in the trophy. A little bit further back in the 5th position is going to be Burdick. Burdick is now being passed by Babcock. Babcock having a look inside. Burdick covering him up. Babcock looking to the inside of this corner. And then that's going to allow Mr. Alvarez to get even closer. This is the battle. Let's stay here.
Yep, as these two fight, it benefits Antonio Alvarez, who we said was jumping up through the field, making some great passes after what must have been a poor qualifying, because he is up 13 positions, and every time we look at him, you know, he's closed in on the next car ahead. He's taken them off one by one, and now he is behind Jordan Babcock, who's trying to close up Austin Burdick. This is a great 3-car battle right now.
Yeah, I have to imagine that Antonio must have had some kind of troubles with the car, some kind of hardware problems, as we only see... Oh, and here we go. Alvarez going to the pits. He's going to try to undercut these guys. This is a wily move. Tough pit entry here. He's on the limiter. We got just under 30 minutes to go, so he's splitting it pretty much in half. 20 minutes in, 30 to go.
That's a pretty clever strategy, I think. I hope we can watch this pit stop, because yes, it's up on the jacks. It would be foolish to not take tires. So the fuel is going in, the new tires are going on, and he's jumped in just at the time to avoid having to pass Burdick and Babcock on track. If he gets some clean space, sets some good laps, when everyone else has pitted, would not be surprised to see Antonio up in 5th place. Or maybe
it's like it's going to be about a
4th.
20-second stop. Coffered on the lane. So is this the time? Are we going to start seeing stops of people decided that these tires just aren't going to make it the distance?
Yeah, if you're struggling with your tires and you're seeing that you're getting close to halfway, the fuel window is open, it's not silly to come in now, take tires, take fuel, and hopefully make the second half of this race work better in your favor.
All right, so that's going to cost Alvarez about 6 positions in the running order. He's down to 13th. Was up there in 7th. 7th place now occupied by Patrick. Patrick is just kind of on an island here between 2 great battles. Let's take a look in on that Burdick battle again. Looks like Babcock's just having trouble hanging on to it, and Babcock's on the lane. Babcock may be deciding it's going to be easier to pass Burdick on the pit road than on the racetrack, as we can see Burdick's held up here with some lap traffic.
And a note about these tires, Alex. Sven Demmel's fastest lap is a 25.5. His last lap, a 27.4.
Whoa,
he has dropped...
Sorry, there was a car sliding through the hairpin there.
Yes, Claudio Herreros was sideways in the hairpin in front of Austin Burdick. But my point there is that there is almost a 2-second drop-off in these tires right now. Some of these guys, if they stay out too late, it is going to cost them big time. They'll come out of the pits and find that everyone else has jumped ahead of them. Yeah,
but you don't want to pit too soon. You know, what if the tires give up at the end of the race and someone waits, you know, hits with 15 to go, they're still on tires that can do 26s and 27s, and you're on tires that can only do 29. So it's going to be interesting. That's why we watch the races. So let's continue with our rundown through the field. We'll do it. Oh, we see a spin just in front of the leader. Who was that? Jason Schmaus spinning just in front of the leader. So all right, still, Sven Dimmel, still your leader. Giovanni Romano, 2.3 seconds back. Evan Merrill, right at around 10 seconds. Nate Franklin, coming through the last corner right now. Nate is just about 20 seconds back. Then we have Burdick, is 25 seconds back in 5th position. Followed fairly closely by Patrick, just under 30 seconds back from the lead. Then we have Fawcett and Cameron. This is a spicy battle. Cameron's not been able to get by, although he's been all over the bumper of the Virginia boy or I guess I should say the Ohio native, racing out of Richmond. Cameron, though, really looking left, looking right. Both of them struggling to get the power down as they throw it down in here into turn 1. Will Cameron have a look? No, not close enough to make anything happen. So this is the great battle for 7th and 8th. A little bit further back from this, though, we have Brian Beeman. Beeman just trying to stay ahead of Thacker. Thacker with an eventful race so far. Further back from him will be Alvarez. And then Babcock. So Babcock was jumped in the pit strategy by Antonio.
And Cameron's through.
All right.
Cameron has just gotten through on Andrew Fawcett. He got a good run through the infield section of the track, and then has just gotten on the brakes where it mattered. But then he's gotten very, very slidey out of the kink there. So Fawcett's going to get a better run up the hill.
Oh, Fawcett late on the brakes, closing down the gap. Very tighty, though. Got to be gentle on the pedal through here. That loud pedal can cause quite the mess if you jump on it too hard.
Exactly.
And
we've seen a few more people jump down on pit lane, though, Alex. So Justin Hall has come down, and I reckon in the next few laps we'll see even more people as Andrew Fawcett now comes down on the pit lane. Shane Cameron stays out. Be interesting to see if Fawcett can jump Cameron with fresh tires.
I think that's a smart move by Fawcett. He had been running his race, racing Cameron, trying to keep him behind him. Now that he's through, let's go ahead and make the stop, get back out there. Cameron, though, I believe he's got some pace in the bag, probably been saving something the last couple laps. Speaking of pace, Dimmel's turned it up to a 26.7 last lap. That's 0.6 faster than the second place car of Giovanni Romano.
Yep, so on that lap, we've just passed the halfway point in this 50-minute race. So quite a few of these guys who are now understandably thinking about tires are thinking, I got to hold it out long enough to make a pit stop that it's not going to hurt me at the end as they fall away. Now might be the time for a lot of these guys. Looking at their pit lane stop times, we said 20 seconds for Antonio Alvarez. We've seen a more like 18 and 17 seconds for everyone else who's pitted since.
Huh. Wonder why Antonio's crew is a little slow tonight. Maybe, not sure. Maybe he took a little bit more fuel than the other guys.
Could be definitely the fuel. One of the things to think about here is that when he pitted earlier, he had the fresher tires. He'd be burning more fuel on the fresher tires. So as these other guys have stayed out longer on the older tires, they might look at their numbers and go, oh, the fuel burn is dropping off. I don't need quite as much. As we've seen more guys come down onto the lane, Alex.
Yes, Burdick and Franklin both been battling very closely, as well as Patrick. All three lined up here just in front of our commentary position. As we see Franklin now off the Jackson away. This is what we expected, the default strategy, to split the race in half. It's the safest way. That's what Franklin is trying. Nate just wants to get out of here with the points.
I think Antonio's jumping some people as they come out of the pit. So some people he was behind, like Burdick, was still on the lane as Antonio Alvarez has come out. But he's still behind Nate Franklin. But he's definitely jumped Babcock and Burdick.
Yeah, let's see here. Antonio's best lap is a 27.0 to Franklin's 27.0. So I have to believe these guys are going to be pretty evenly matched here on the battle to the distance.
Sven Demmel and Evan Merrill are on the pit lane now, both of them taking fuel and tires. So Giovanni Romano stays out, and he inherits the lead. We imagine he'll probably come into the pit soon, though, surely.
Let's see here. Let's ride along with Giovanni, and let's just see what it's like on... I have to believe he's going to pit this time, so let's see if we can watch a pit-in lap.
Very ginger with the throttle. You can see those old tires. He's really struggling through the corkscrew and down the hill. And he stays out.
Wow. I thought for sure he would pit as we see Claudio running wide into the dirt once again. All right, so Giovanni must feel like he's making good time here. Let's see, he's doing 27.8. Where's Dimmel? That'll be hard to tell. Dimmel's last lap involved part of the pit.
Merrill is catching Shane Cameron, who is still yet to pit. I imagine Evan, with those fresh tyres, will get past rather quickly indeed. It'll be an interesting one to watch, though, I'm sure. Is Evan, fresh tyres, way better traction out of the final corner, and he'll also be a lot more confident under brakes, I would assume.
Yeah. Cameron, though, holding his own here against the former champions from upstate New York.
Yeah, this is holding Evan up a little bit, costing him some time, but he was sort of, by himself in third place, a bit far back from Giovanni and a bit ahead of Nate Franklin.
Giovanni stays out for another lap. Do you think that he's going to back down the pace enough to be able to make it?
On fuel, I don't really imagine so. I mean, we watched on board, and there wasn't a whole lot of lifting and coasting or anything going on, and we can see his revs and such. So even on the fuel, the new tires are worth enough seconds per lap with 14 laps to go that I think even if you didn't need to take fuel in this race, it might be quicker to take tires with how quickly they fall off, and will continue to fall off towards the end of this race.
And so we're starting to see some of the battles that we had before the stop starting to form up again. I've got my eye from Franklin back to about Burdick. Got a nice little trail here. Franklin coming through the final corner. Then we're going to have Antonio. Another 2 seconds back or so will be Babcock, followed closely by Burdick. Oh, as we have one off into the gravels here just in front of Franklin. Who was that? Was that Kyle Smith? Or was that John Patrick?
Not sure, Alex. There's a few people out there, the tail end of the field, though, really struggling to get to the grips with this car. It's not easy to drive by any stretch of the imagination, and if you don't have the experience or the patience, it will catch you out and you will be facing the wrong way, maybe even in the barrier very quickly.
Romano's in the box. Jack's up. So here we go. We got our leader, Sven Dimmel, coming out in the last turn, trying to lay down the power on the AstroTurf. Ooh, getting a bit of a wiggle. So we see Romano still sitting still. Wow, Dimmel with a huge lead now. Now we go. Romano out to the cones, off the limiter. Have to be careful here, though. Very tricky and tight pit exit with a hairpin at the end that's quite dirty by this point in the event.
Yeah, a bit of a long stop for Romano, and Sven Dimmel obviously with a bit of an undercut as well. That's taken Giovanni Romano from about 2 seconds back when the pit stop started to he's now 10 seconds off Sven Dimmel. He'll have to really hope that few laps of difference, 3 laps as it was, is 3 laps of difference in the tyres is enough that he can make some kind of progress towards Dimmel in the last 15 minutes of the race.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. All right, let's look here with Crawford and Beeman. Crawford trying to work on Beeman here. Ooh, Crawford into the barriers. Crawford's had a very eventful night. This car is just not suited to his driving style.
Yeah, he's locked up the rear brakes very early, and one of the ways that can happen is that the downshifts are very difficult in this car as well. But I think he just had the left rear tire on the gravel or the sand when he got on the brakes, and that's pitched him right, and there was no saving it from that concrete barrier.
And he's down on the lane again, so either coming in to retire or take another fast repair.
Hopefully he can still get that car repaired. Maybe he'd take a new set of tires as well. Get out there, see what's possible from his race, but that's cost him quite a bit as Philip Linden and Aaron Thacker go past.
And his testing partner, Shane Cameron, is on the lane at this time. I don't know if this is team tactics that we're seeing, but Cameron coming to a stop and jacks up on Cameron's car.
Yep, repairs were done on Coughlин's car, and so jacks up, you assume he's taking the tires, he's down, he's rolling. So he's done what I suggested there, and hopefully from here, he'll be able to have a good run. Maybe he'd be able to catch Aaron Thacker or capitalize on anyone else's mistakes.
Woo! Sven Dimmel spicy through the corkscrew that time, throwing up gravel. Sure, it's just another thanks for Sven. So Sven Dimmel, your champion emeritus, with just under 15 minutes to go, leads with about 10 seconds or so over Giovanni Romano. Giovanni Romano is racing out of the Canada Club, coming down here to the last corner. Giovanni's got about a 7-second lead over Evan Merrill. Let's see. Looks like Evan does have some incidents, but our spotters have not reported any for Romano or Babcock tonight. So in fourth place, coming through the last corner now, is Franklin. Ooh, Franklin with a bit of a tail wag there. I think he's opening up this gap over Antonio Alvarez. It's now a little bit wider than it was before. So Antonio's there in fifth. Antonio, big mover, up 15 positions from the start. And then we see Jordan Babcock in the 6th position. Jordan with a beautiful black and gold Ford. I've been told he designed that livery himself and no one helped him. So good job, Jordan. Then we have Austin Burdick. Burdick out of the Midwest. Burdick, a newcomer here on in the RIL, but not wasting any time making a name for himself. There in 7th position. Then we look for a little farther back to John Patrick. John Patrick's having a good go of it tonight. There in 8th. Shane Cameron is now out from his pit stop. He's in 9th. And in 10th is Andrew Fawcett. So earlier, David, you were mentioning you were interested to see how it would shake out with the Fawcett-Cameron battle. And, well, here's your answer.
Yeah, but what I've got my eyes on right now is Philip Linden and Aaron Thacker, because Aaron Thacker's got the fresher tires than Philip Linden down in 13th and 14th. And Aaron Thacker's all over the back of him, trying to get through, trying to use his superior grip. But Philip Linden, also a newer name to this league, is placing his car exactly where he needs to and not cracking under the Texan pressure.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Thacker, a veteran in the league, one that can put on quite the amount of pressure. Linden, the newcomer out of New York, there in the green and white car. Linden had a good run last week at Monza. Oh, here we go. Got a little bit of oversteer. I think that's going to be the difference.
Thacker has the inside, but he needs to brake very carefully. I think he's been measured there and gotten the power down well, and now Thacker through on Linden. That 4 laps difference in the tires showing very clearly.
So, David, while this battle that we're watching isn't one among the championship contenders, I think it may have championship implications as we see Franklin approaching and Alvarez. How quick will they be able to work through these lap traffic? These guys are battling back here. They got their own race.
Yeah, it looks like Thacker's through and a second clear now, so that is advantage Aaron Thacker. But, you know, Antonio Alvarez, we've said it time and time again all this race, he's closing up, and now he's getting close to Nate Franklin. He was maybe 6 or 7 tenths of a second quicker on the last lap, and so he will definitely catch Nate Franklin before race is over at this pace.
Yeah, Franklin really fighting to just keep that car out front, doing a great job of it as we see Antonio run a little bit wide there in the Andretti hairpin. Franklin now all over the back of Linden. I'm sure he's thinking, get out of my way. Linden throwing up a little gravel, not pulling over though. It's gonna make the boy from Amish country work for it. Here we go. Franklin down the inside. Linden leaves room.
Yeah, Franklin showed the nose, sort of forced the issue, and at that point, it's the lap car. Well, most of them wouldn't turn in on something like that. Like, okay, get through, but you needed to make a move to make it happen. Meanwhile, you know, Alvarez, he's now, it's about 2 seconds that he is behind Nate Franklin, and I'm sure he's caught him even more on this lap. And he's made some moves, so I'm sure he'll slice past Philip Linden just a little bit quicker.
Yeah, there's no one with more experience tonight passing other cars than Antonio. And here we go. He wastes no time right down the inside of the penultimate corner. Linden, be smart here just to follow the Mexican around, maybe learn a thing or two here. All right, as we see Babcock coming onto the main straight here. Babcock falling back a little bit off of Antonio, but he still has his battle with Burdick. And then behind Burdick is Patrick. So this is another 3 cars here, 6th, 7th, and 8th. This is going to be a good battle all the way to the line. I'd say from about 4th of Patrick all the way back to Patrick, anything could happen.
And that anything includes Andrew Fawcett has just gotten past Justin Hall on the brakes into the corkscrew. So I think that deserves a replay because they were side by side coming up to the corkscrew, and Fawcett has just been braver on the brakes there.
Yeah, Fawcett really making some stuff happen here in the second half of the race. I was worried when he came out behind Cameron with the stops there that maybe the strategy just wasn't going to work out, but I guess even without the strategy, bravery is all you need. As the Buckeye boy up the inside and past the Floridian.
Yep, and it's a very, very difficult braking zone any day of the week, but when you're on the inside line, too wide, you know, I think both of those guys did very well to not cause an incident and still give us some good racing.
So our leader, Sven Dimmel, is going to be trying to get around Fawcett next. Fawcett's headed down to turn 5. Oh, I love the sound, this viewing position of inside turn 5. The flames shooting out of the cars, the backfires. Oh, it doesn't get any better.
It's a great sounding car, isn't it? And it really works on the throttle.
So we see Dimmel stay behind Fawcett this time through the corkscrew. All right, let's go to Franklin and Antonio. This battle's starting to really heat up.
Yep, Antonio's brought it within a second now, which lights up that lovely red box on our timing screen that we love. That means there's a battle going on. And, well...
now I've got 2 of them. When it rains, it pours. I got the Burdick Babcock box as well. So right here, 4th to 7th, this is some great battles.
Exactly. So what's going on with this battle for 4th, though, is that Antonio pitted earlier. He's got the older tyres, but he's really been driving this car well. So it's leveled the playing field a little bit that Nate Franklin has the younger tyres, even if Antonio might have the speed.
Yeah, Antonio is second faster last time around. We'll keep our eye on it here. It's just one more turn to go.
Franklin ran quite wide. Franklin ran very wide in the final corner there, so that gives Antonio a much better run to close this up, down to 3/4 of a second.
Yeah, and Antonio 0.4 of a lap faster. That last time as we see Franklin lock up a tire here, trying to get past Thacker. Thacker staying off in the dirt, letting the leaders go.
Thacker found himself in an unfortunate position there, but I think he did his best to let these leaders battle it out.
Yeah, seeing some great battles here. Working down towards 6 minutes left in the race. Be about 5 to go next time by. Woo, Antonio continuing to turn up the heat.
Yep, you can almost see the pressure on Nate Franklin now. He's made a few mistakes, missed the apex. Maybe he's getting a bit too late on the brakes, having trouble pulling it up. No such troubles from Antonio, who just keeps inching in 10th after 10th, bringing that heat to the rear bumper of Nate Franklin.
I'm not sure what the scenarios are for Nate to win the championship, but I know that scoring max points is the best way to do it. So Nate here trying to hold on to this 4th position and these ever valuable points. I'm sure Nate knows what he has to do to win, but even if he doesn't need the position, better stay here. It's always better to have more points than less. As we see Alvarez looking around the outside.
Nate defends the inside, and even though Antonio had a good run, he's not going to get it done into the Andretti hairpin. Imagine he'll just size it up, move around in Nate's mirrors a little bit, and I guess the 2 biggest overtaking spots are into that first hairpin, and we've seen moves into the corkscrew as well, just because of how difficult the run out of that kink is. If the driver ahead messes it up, you can really get a run at them, and that's what Antonio might be hoping for.
Wow, this is the closest battle we have. We have our spotters watching a couple others. We'll cut to those if it's better than this. But right now, the 20 car pressures the 24 into the hairpin. I mean, into the corkscrew. It's going to be 4 to go next time by.
And Nate was very deep on the brakes into the corkscrew. Still managed to get it stopped and turned in, but it didn't look optimal. And Antonio's still there. And looks like he's looking after his tyres well enough. I'm seeing less slip, less slide angle, less rubber being laid down. As once again, Nate sort of slides the rear out on turn-in, maybe just having problems with the difficult downshifts in this car.
Yeah, it takes a huge blip to get the gear selector. Oh, as we see Franklin early on the brakes, almost surprising Alvarez. Alvarez all the way up to Franklin's bumper. Do you think he smells blood?
I think he has all race. It hasn't gone away. He's just been picking off positions. That's why he's up 15, going on 16. There's maybe look really quickly at Andrew Fawcett and Justin Hall, though, because I think they've been swapping back and forth a little bit. Hall got ahead, and now Fawcett is back in front. Just acknowledge that, and then maybe we'd go back forward to this battle with Antonio and Nate Franklin, because that is going to be very good to watch.
Oh yeah, for sure. Here we go. Up the hill one more time with Alvarez. Ooh, really good on the brakes here. Oh, as we hear crashing. That was Thacker's off in the runoff.
His race is sort of falling apart.
Well, that's a good move. Stay out of the way of the other cars. Let's jump back up here. The 20 and the 24. This battle for 4th is spicy. Franklin covers the inside. Alvarez takes the traditional line. Having a look to the outside. All over the bumper of the 24. 20 looks around the outside.
He set up a very good run. Again, he set up a very good run out of the final corner, but Nate just covers the inside, parks it on the apex a little bit, keeps him behind for one more lap, but you can sense that there's a speed difference here, and it's only Nate's car placement that's keeping him ahead.
Yeah, I think Antonio has come to the realization that this will be the last pass he makes in this race. There's just not enough time to get on up to Merrill, so no rush. Take your time here and line it up. And there we see Franklin run a bit wide through 5. It catches Alvarez off guard, though, not able to take advantage.
Yeah, that's sort of the story of this battle right now, is that Nate's not driving perfect, but it's good enough that Antonio hasn't been able to make his way through.
Oh, wow. The Burdick Babcock battle is really getting hot as well. Just to give you an idea, that's under a half a second. Not quite as close as this one, though. This one's down to a 10th. Alvarez, ooh, just not able to make it stick. Franklin continuing to run his line. That's what he needs to do. It's going to be 2 to go this time. Oh, and Franklin, it steps out a bit under turn in there for him. That allows Antonio to get closer. Is Antonio going to look to the inside? Franklin continues to move towards the wall to cover that off. Franklin with a good run, though. Franklin early on the brakes. Smart, though. Cover the inside. Oh, here we go. Alvarez gives him a little tap, says, hey, buddy, still back here.
Yeah, you imagine either this lap or next lap, Antonio might just throw caution to the wind coming into that hairpin or somewhere else, and from a bit further back, just hope that he can get it stopped on the inside.
Yeah, Burdick closing up on Babcock. So both these battles really spicing up here with less than 2 to go.
Yep, so Sven Demmel's taking the white flag right now.
And Sven did that just about 5 seconds. With the 5 seconds left, I'm sure that he was aiming for that. Sven loves to make the other competition do an extra lap. Screw with their fuel mileage.
Yeah, so he's run pretty flawlessly out front there. Giovanni Romano still in second, Evan Merrill in third, but Nate Franklin's now got some lapped traffic to try and deal with as he takes the white flag.
Right. Justin Lehman's pull off. Very good, very good. Justin's going to pull out of the way here. Very gentlemanly as we have 1 to go here with the battle for fourth.
Yep, still our closest battle on track, but just this time, Antonio wasn't close enough to even have a look into the hairpin. He'll have to find something magical somewhere else if he is going to take that 4th place from Nate Franklin.
I'm sure Nate is driving with a determination that he rarely feels. This might be the difference. This might be what allows Nate to finally hoist the cup over his head and become an RIL champion, to be among the few champions that we've had.
Yeah, but Antonio's got the oldest tyres out there, and I think in the last 2 laps, it's just started to show that they've fallen away a little bit, and Nate Franklin's hold on. So Sven Demmel's going to take that checkered flag. That's a great win for him. In second place, newcomer to the league, sort of, in a way. Giovanni Romano, though, is going to grab second place. That's a fantastic result as well. Evan Merrill's going to come through the last corner. He'll get third. And we don't know who's going to get
fourth. Here we go, Alvarez having a look up the inside in the penultimate corner. Not quite there. Will he throw it down the inside here in the final turn? No. It looks like Nate's going to be able to hang on here as long as Nate can get the pedal down. Looks like he will. It'll be Nate Franklin coming home in 4th position tonight and potentially your next RIL champion. Great run by Antonio. Up 15 positions. He's our Dick Insider hard charger of the race. There goes Jordan Babcock in 6th. And Austin Burdick in 7th. That is a great battle all the way line with Sir John Patrick following closely thereafter. And here comes Shane Cameron. He will be the last car on the lead lap tonight in 9th, coming through the final corner. One more time on the loud pedal. So I just want to again mention Antonio Alvarez, because 15 positions is rather incredible. And to give you some perspective, the next closest is 9th by Mark Antonucci, another car that started from the back. But that's just amazing. Congratulations, Antonio, and enjoy the Dick Insider.
Yeah, he was fun to watch all race, and he did manage to get up into 5th place, even if 4th wasn't quite there. I imagine soon we might be able to grab some interviews, though, Alan.
I'm gonna go see if I can get a hold of Merrill here, our 3rd place finisher. So I think we now have Evan Merrill with us. Evan is our 3rd place finisher tonight. And from our count, it looked like Evan had 13 incidents. We thought he was on a 0 incident run there for a while, but how are you doing tonight, Evan?
I had a good time. It was a lot of fun. Always a good challenge to wrangle these cars around any track. I was going for the 0 incident thing. And then I think maybe turn 5-ish, somewhere around there, I just dropped a tire and it went downhill from there. I think I was at like 7 or something at the end of the race. But yeah, tons of fun.
Yeah, glad to see you back on the grid as a former champion to bring up the strength of field. We know that you enjoyed the tricky cars, and that you definitely had one on your hands tonight. So, any big events in the race that maybe we missed?
Nothing was too crazy. Early on, I was just trying to hang with Giovanni there. He put up a really good race. I was with him for several laps, and then from there, it was just kind of trying to hang on and run that 0x, which didn't happen, but it was just a good time the whole time through. Just holding on to this thing around a track like that.
Well, congratulations on the run tonight, and that was your third place finisher, Evan Merrill. Evan, congratulations. So next, I don't think we were able to get a hold of Giovanni, but before we talk to our winner, let's talk to Nate. We couldn't get a hold of Giovanni, but we have a hold of Nate here. Nate, was that run enough to seal the championship for you?
I don't believe so. I think Sven was able to. He won the race, of course. So he had a heck of a drive tonight. I think he snuck it out from underneath me here.
Bummer. Great drive, though. We saw that you had to battle Antonio all the way to the wire. It looked like he really had the pressure on you there.
Absolutely. I was really surprised he wasn't anywhere near me on the grid. I saw his pace in practice and qualifying, and I guess he just didn't set a clean lap. So, but during the race, I mean, he was up 15 positions when he was behind me, and there was really nothing I could do to hold him back. So I was just trying to run my own race, and if he made a dive, I was going to race him fair, but he just couldn't quite reel me in enough. I was able to do enough.
Well, congratulations on the season, Nate. We'll have to see how the points shake out. But even if you come out second place, that's still a commendable run, and great job tonight on the fourth, and great job on the season.
Thank you, guys.
All right. And so that's Nate Franklin. He was your fourth place finisher. Let's talk to your winner real quick. Your winner, Sven Dimmel. How you doing, Sven?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm doing great, actually, because I didn't just win the race. I won the championship as well with that. So, yeah. Feels pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. That's a feeling that you're getting quite used to, right? This is number 11?
13.
13. Well, I stopped counting, obviously. So I just call you the champion emeritus now, the champion forever. So what do you think the difference was, Sven? What made you, what sealed the deal for you tonight?
I mean, Giovanni was really quick. He was on my tail the entire first half, and Evan was still pretty close as well. So one mistake on spin and both would have been passed. But at the pit stop, they both lost a lot of time. I don't know what happened to Giovanni, but Evan said he had some issues on the pit entry. And I was actually really lucky. I lost the rear coming out of the penultimate corner and had to slam on the brakes and drifted into the pit entry and was like, okay, I'm just going to take that. So that worked out really nicely for me. And yeah, that's what decided the race. I gained a lot of time there and just cruised to the end.
Wow, Sven. It was an amazing drive. Congratulations again on the championship. And thanks for coming out and keeping these guys honest. I'm sure that Nate thought he had a chance to hoist the cup, but then he saw you in the garage tonight and knew those chances were getting slimmer.
Yeah, he was not happy to see me tonight. I'm joking, obviously. Can I say one thing?
Yeah, sure.
This was my last race in the league for a while, because I have to go to university and I can't race with the guys at 3 a.m. anymore. And the past 4 years in this league were really fun. I really enjoyed my time. Got to know a lot of cool people, and yeah, got some great racing. And so it's really sad that I have to stop racing every Sunday night. But yeah, I'll be back as a guest starter at some point.
I'm sure you will, Sven. And, move on to bigger, better things and come back and see us when you can. But congratulations again for not just this win, but all the other Sven. You've been a great champion all these years and really given the league and all the drivers someone to look up to on and off the track and chase every week. So congratulations again, Sven.
Thank you very much.
Anything from you, David, before we go?
No, I think we saw a great battle. It's a difficult car, difficult combination. Gave us plenty to look at through the whole 50 minutes of the race. And, hopefully we'll be back with a broadcast of the next season of the Reddit iRacing League.
Yeah, so keep your eyes on Reddit/r/RIL for next season's schedule. We'll have a few weeks off here in the meantime, but keep checking in. And if you're new or interested in the league, check us out for one of the unofficial races to kind of get a sense of the wacky combos that we might see. So again, thanks everyone for tuning in. This has been the conclusion of season 22. I'm Alex Albert. That's David Haynes. Our champion Sven's with us. And as always, Michael Derby with the knobs, the switches, and the cameras, and the mics. Good job, Mike. Thanks for all you do. So again, good night and mahalo.